Travis Wayne Goodsell. Let's get out this other video and then I've got to go. In Moroni, chapter 1, short, it says, Now I, Moroni, having made an end of abridging the account of the people of Jared. So if you've gotten that trivia game about the Book of Mormon, that answer is incorrect, or question is incorrect. Moroni, not Mormon, wrote the Book of Ether, or abridged it. And the mother-in-law at the time was upset that I knew it and I corrected the game. She thought I was wrong and she was cheering, yeah, he got it wrong. I guess she thought I was smart in Mormonism. People assume things of me throughout my life. It's very weird. But yeah, I was. I suppose not to have written more. I can relate to that. I didn't expect to be doing these videos now. I'm here. But I have not as yet perished, and I make not myself known to the Mormons, Lamanites, lest they should destroy me. For behold, their wars are exceedingly fierce among themselves, and because of their hatred, they put to death every Nephite that will not deny the Christ. Which Christ? Yeah, Mormons say Jesus. And yet what you're doing is caving to Christians, because Christians are now getting you to become full Christian and denounce Joseph Smith and the Book of Mormon. Because by turning Joseph Smith into a Christian Jesus, you're denying the Christ. And I, Moroni, will not deny the Christ. So yes, Mormons are denying the Christ by saying we're Christian just like you. And then Christians can then come back and say, well, if you're just like us, then we don't need you. You're just another Christian church. Get rid of the Book of Mormon. Get rid of Joseph, all of his works. Because Joseph Smith goes against the Christ of Christianity. He's half and half. He's a product of incestuous relationships, because your Mormons are merging the two, Christian and Jewish, together. So this comes from church history of a Benjamin F. Johnson. There it is, in his Wikipedia page, under the Latter-day Saint movement. I should give backstory. I did this video when I was shut down on my internet and just pretty much had Wi-Fi speed, and so I was only able to do quick videos in my other place. And I did one titled what is AOA? It stands for something. Section 116. Can't remember. It was May 15th when I did the video. AOA Section 116, Danite Fake News, Cover-Up of 1838 Mormon War. It frustrates me. I can't remember what AOA. I thought I'd put AOA because I knew what it would stand for. And I tell you that I can't do the full video because I've been silenced. They were preparing to send me here to be completely silenced. They didn't expect me to have the laptop and the gold plates, 200 pounds, standing on the mounds and getting blisters on my hands and wounds on my feet as well. They didn't expect that. Nonetheless, so I'm giving you a more full account here. In 1838, those of you who were watching my videos prior to this place know that year and what I have added to church history. I'm the one who added the coup of the church this year, 1838. No other scholar has figured it out. Nobody knew it. They know of events that happened. They get it wrong, but that they don't understand that that was the year the Church of Jesus, or Church of Latter-day Saints, as it was called then, was cooed by the Danites. They took over, chased out leaders. Thomas B. Marsh. It wasn't over his wife and milk scrappings. That was the lie to cover up the coup. After the fact. In 1838, Benjamin F. Johnson. Let's tell you who he is, because he's tied to the LeBaron family. That's how I found this guy. I was looking up the LeBarons. He was born July 28th, 1818. An early member of Latter-day Saint movement, a member of the Council of 50, and a formerly private secretary to Joseph Smith. Served 14 terms in the Utah State Legislature. Was a brickmaker, a merchant, tavern keeper, leather worker, farmer, nurseryman, and beekeeper. We're running out of bees. Utah has the least amount of bees of anywhere in the world. That's weird, because we're the beehive state. Did we kill off our bees? What has the church done? How are you going to name it Deseret if we have no bees? No wonder the flowers are dying. Where have all the flowers gone? Alright. And so he was baptized by Lyman E. Johnson in the spring of 1835. Heber C. Kimball ordained him an elder March 10th, 1839. At Far West, Missouri. And John Smith ordained him a high priest in 1843 at Ramus, Illinois. Served as a missionary, Eastern United States and Upper Canada, which was my mom's mission, with Thomas Smonson being the mission president later, I think she said. It wasn't during her time there. 1840 to 1842. Appointed to Joseph Smith's Council of 50. Error. Biography archive, January 4th, 2012, at the Wayback Machine of Benjamin F. Johnson and Joseph Smith Papers. Good job, you're putting Joseph Smith Papers in here, guys. But it's wrong, he lied. It wasn't Joseph's. He was running for President of the United States. He can't run for President of the United States and have a counter-government at the same time. This is the Danites that we're talking about. This is the threat to America that I've been talking about. Yes, the current church is the threat to America. That's why Oaks is going around telling Christians to overthrow their governments with religious freedom to be exempt from obeying the law, or obeying and sustaining the law. And so, 1838, he moves to Adam-on-Diamond. Who lives in Adam-on-Diamond, Mormons? Yeah, only Mormons. This was founded by Mormons. Only Mormons live here. Okay? It was the other towns where other people lived. And there's election fraud coming up this year. And so he arrives there at Adam-on-Diamond, Missouri. He's arrested by Mormons. He's a Mormon. Baptized in 1835. Remember? And he's arrested by Mormons in Adam-on-Diamond. This is what you need to understand here. This is what they're not telling you on Wikipedia. He's arrested and kept under guard for 8 days in intensely cold weather. Yeah, he's tortured. While he was sitting on a log, a brute, a Mormon, came up to him with a rifle in his hands and said, "You give up Mormonism right now." A Mormon telling him to deny the Mormon Christ. Huh. Or I'll shoot you. Benjamin decisively refused. Did he? Did he? Upon which the ruffian took deliberate aim at him and pulled the trigger. The gun failed to discharge. Really? Cursing fearfully, the man declared that he had used the gun 20 years and it had never before missed fire. Examining the lock, he reprimed the weapon and again aimed and pulled the trigger without effect. Wow, it's magic. Jesus. Following the same procedure, he tried a third time, but the result was the same. A bystander told him, a Mormon told him, to fix up his gun a little, and then you can kill the cuss all right. Mormons. Telling a Mormon to denounce Mormonism of Joseph Smith, or they're going to murder them. I don't know why they didn't just use the pistol whip them, rifle whip them, you know, get into a fight. But, I mean, he's in prison. He's bound, most likely. So why can't they murder him? So for a fourth and final time, the would-be murderer prepared, even putting in a fresh load. However, Benjamin declared, this time the gun, see, it's from his journal. This time the gun bursted and killed the wretch upon the spot. Really? So why didn't you name him? One of the Missourians was heard to say, you better not try to kill that man. Sure. And so, what did we hear happened? Let's see. Yeah. The very next year, Heber C. Kimball ordained him an elder, March 10th, 1839. Yep. Is that who ordains people? Because I think Joseph Smith was appointing people. Joseph Smith Papers. Why is Heber C. Kimball doing it in March 10th, 1839? Why wasn't Joseph around to do it? That's his authority. Why is Heber C. Kimball usurping Joseph's authority? These are the things you have to pay attention to. All the little minute details of how Joseph organized his church and how it was supposed to be run. You know, like say 2 by 2 in the mission field. So when you get to the Mormon War, or actually no, it's the conversion of Heber C. Kimball, I believe. No, it's not. There's 5 guys who, it is. Yeah, Heber C. Kimball. 5 guys from a completely different location go to Heber C. Kimball, preach the Book of Mormon to him, and yeah, 5 guys. Really? 2 by 2 for Joseph's orders? 5 guys. Huh. Something's suspicious, not just because it's an odd number, but it's 5 rather than 2. You see what's happening here? In telling their stories, they reveal the errors so that we can expose them. Joseph Smith was in Liberty Jail. Why? Because of the Mormon War. Why? Because of the election fraud. Why? Because of the Mormons at Adamon-Diamond, gathered there before the election, went down to the election voting booth place, still in Daviess County, so it was in walking distance if they didn't take their horses. And there they tried to overthrow the election, to put in their guy in the political spot, rather than the other guy who was running at the same time. And so the church tells a completely different story. But when you know the truth from your research, you can expose the church as lying to us. Because only Mormons were at Adamon-Diamond. And here, Benjamin F. Johnson is telling us the Mormons in Adam-on-Diamond were against Joseph's church. They were taking Mormons out of Mormonism to join their band. What band? Danites. Because the Mormon War was the Danites to overthrow the election. And one of those was John D. Lee. And guess who his ancestor is who tried to overthrow our 2020 election for the presidency? Senator Mike Lee. Yeah. They do the same pattern. This is their plot to overthrow America, of the Danites that I told you about. Started with the Illuminati. That was the hour-long video I did for you guys yesterday. The Illuminati came to America, infiltrated the Scottish Rites. This is what they do. They infiltrate, get numerous and populous, then take over, coup leadership, and then destroy it, and start with a whole new thing. That's what Brigham Young did. Infiltrated, converted Danites, became populous. In 1838, couped the church, and then destroyed it. Murdered Joseph Smith, Carthage jail. And then started all over. It's now the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Joseph is now Christian. Jesus is now the Christ. Adam-on-Diamond is a fake. It's a real place, obviously, but it's not for Joseph. Joseph didn't establish it. He didn't name it. Section 116 is a fraud. I went over the Joseph Smith paper with you. It has faded ink from the original when it was written on, and they had crossed off a whole chunk of thing right there at the end, so they canceled that part. But then all of a sudden, when you get to this story of Adam-on-Diamond being named by Joseph Smith, is from Spring Hill, Missouri, he's going to visit Newell K. Whitney, sorry, because he has a home out there right near Spring Hill, which became Adam-on-Diamond. And it's talking about Joseph's visit, and oh yeah, we're going over to there, and that's where the altar of Adam comes from. Nope, fake. Joseph Smith wasn't there. Joseph Smith Papers places him elsewhere. Oops. You think the church would have caught on to this and not posted the Joseph Smith Papers, but I guess they assume you're not studying. And so why did they name it Adam-on-Diamond? To mock Joseph. Again, it's supposed to be A-W-M-A-N. They put A-H-M-A-N. That's how you know that, oops, did that video for you. And so it was the Danites who told Benjamin F. Johnson, leave the church, join our group, or we're going to murder you. We can't have you telling Joseph Smith. And he joined. He becomes part of the Council of 50, which was Brigham Young's counter-government when Joseph Smith takes over the presidency. Joseph didn't. He eventually would disband the Council of 50. He doesn't have a need for it anymore. It was only for if Joseph were to actually win the presidency, so that he can go around under Joseph's presidency name committing all sorts of crimes, legally and lawfully. Or Joseph Smith gets busted for what the Danites do, just as they've been doing while he was a religious leader. And so Joseph knew Newell K. Whitney was associated with the Danites in section 117, where they did not decode any of this. They said they did in 1981's edition of our Doctrine and Covenants, and yet verse 8, mountains of Adam-on-Diamond and the plains of Ola Shinha. Yeah, no, they lie. Verse 11, let my servant, Newell K. Whitney, be ashamed of the Nicolaitan band. Well, that's the name of it, Travis. It's not the Danites. You didn't look at footnote 11a, did you? Revelation chapter 2, verse 6. Nicolaitan band. Huh. That's where Joseph got it from, huh? Yeah, it's code. Remember, they didn't decode this. And of all their secret abominations, littleness of soul. He became a Danite. Joseph Smith knew it. Section 117. Oh, look. July 8th, 1838. Yep. There's a reason why Brigham Young did not put in 19 July 1840 from the Joseph Smith papers. Because Joseph Smith exposes Brigham as the leader of the band, and that his followers in the 12 and who they converted, because the 1838 history of the church, Joseph Smith says right at the beginning, evil people are trying to call this a Jesus Christian church. And so I'm giving you the first vision to denounce Jesus and Christianity. And then I'm going to bring in Nephi, who's going to tell you who our Christ actually is through the prophecies of Scripture. But, yeah, Brigham Young had him murdered, just as Joseph Smith prophesied in 19 July 1840. Brigham Young refused to publish it for our Doctrine and Covenants, even though it ties in other scriptures and explains more for us. The Constitution shall be upon the brink of ruin, for example, because that was their plan, to overthrow America, overthrow the government, and here they are doing it. They've got the inverted pentagram of Lucifer on their Salt Lake Temple, Keystone, and they now put a wall so that regular people can't find it. You have to pay up to get married in that temple, or to be a part of the marriage ceremony, to go and see way up high that sign. And so this is that story, the real story. And when you do the real research, and I've told you how to do it, you have a paper for dates, you have a paper for names, you have a paper for places, and you have a paper for events that occurred. And you have them all so that you can cross-reference them. And so then you can see, oh, 9/11/1826. You've got Captain William Morgan, who's there getting arrested and flees the country, and he disappears. Nobody knows where he goes. You have Joseph Smith Sr., who's the Master Mason at the Canandaigua Lodge. There's the connection. He's writing a book, and Smith comes out with a book through his son. It's those kinds of details that are necessary when you're doing research, so that you can figure out what's really going on, so that you can see past the lies that people are trying to present to you, and the cover-ups. They purposely withhold information so that they can come up with their conclusion. And that's the lie and deception. And so there you have it. He became a Danite and was involved in the election fraud. Joseph Smith called him out on it. Joseph Smith would go on to call out the whole Danites, and Brigham Young as the leader. They murdered him, because that's what they do. They infiltrate, gain numbers, coup, and then destroy, and start all over with the Lucifer Church. And it was the doctrine of Lucifer for Brigham. And so again, what was that Albert Pike letter to Giuseppe Mazzini explaining? Yeah, he's a Scottish Rite. He ties himself to the Illuminati, and he says we're going to destroy Christianity by infiltrating rising up in populace, cooing, destroying. And then he says we're going to replace it with the doctrine of Lucifer. So what are they doing to this church? Yeah, well, they've had to reboot it under Heber J. Grant in 1923, because the United States shut down Brigham Young in 1887. And so now this is what they're doing. They're going to destroy this church. All of you who are faithful will not have the church anymore. You will go through a faith crisis. And then the church survivors will come up with the doctrine of Lucifer, explaining that the Book of Mormon is teaching Lucifer, that somehow Joseph was teaching Lucifer, because they're going to lie to you. Or they'll disregard Book of Mormon and Joseph altogether, which they'll most likely have to, because if anybody were to actually read and such, because they'd have to withhold education from people, keep them as slaves. 1984. So this is the danger I'm warning you about, the utter destruction that Joseph talks about, because otherwise you're going to go through a faith crisis and you'll be extorted. Denounce Mormonism and join us, or we'll murder you. As Christians, we'll be faced with denounce Jesus Christ, or we're going to murder you. And they're going to be able to enforce that, because where's Jesus? Where's Jesus, Mormons? He's supposed to be here already. This is the time period. And they're setting it up for 8 April 2024. They're going to have t-shirts made. This is when he's coming, guys. Here it is. John the Revelator in chapter 19 of Revelation. This is the sign. He's coming from the clouds on a white horse. No show. No Jesus. Destruction, bondage, slavery, collapse. Lucifer giving the keys to Jesus of the Mormons. Yeah. This is the danger that I warn you about, that we're in great dire circumstances for. And you don't want to believe. You get angry. They've turned you into hateful, wrathful people who purposely punish those who are not accepting of Jesus. This is what I'm having to deal with. Because ex-Mormons, they don't even care about me either. You know, they want to circulate, oh, Joseph Smith was a pedophile. Oh, Joseph Smith was a criminal. Oh, Joseph Smith was a witch. Joseph Smith this, Joseph Smith that. Book of Mormon's a fraud. See what Brigham Young did? He's getting ex-Mormons to set it up for the destruction of the Book of Mormon and Joseph. And ex-Mormons still believe that Joseph Smith was a Christian Jesus lover. That the Book of Mormon is talking about Jesus. Jesus in America, literal history. And they're criticizing it. They're destroying that concept. Exposing it. With science even. See what the church has done to you ex-Mormons? They're using you to do their work for them. And then the church will become Luciferian in full light of day. See, we've had the inverted pentagram the whole time, guys. And then ex-Mormons, you'll be forced into bondage if you're not dead. That's what they're doing. It's coming. We've got an election coming up. We already have been told it's going to be a fraudulent election. We've already seen with the arrest of Trump that everybody's now saying, oh, they planted evidence. This is how they do things. This is them, the descendants. They didn't just go to the Brigham Church. They go to other places. They went down south. They became the Confederates. The Confederate flag. You had line them up horizontally. Inverted pentagrams. That was the sign. And then the leader of the Confederates went and formed the KKK with the Christian cross of Jesus and the inverted pentagram in their inverted form. Even Hitler took the swastika of which I can't remember if it was Hindu religion where the swastika originated, but Dan Brown, Tom Hanks' character, goes over that. Hitler inverted it, tipped it on its corner, because it's a square. Inverted it. This is how you know what's going on. Infiltrate, get numerous, coup, destroy, change. That's what they do. It's the same pattern. They don't change. It's election frauds, it's murder, crime. They don't change. Lies. Same pattern. And so here we go. We know them here in America. Because in the Nixon campaign, they flipped the pentagrams of the elephant. Inverted. That's how we knew. The Republican Party was taken over by the Illuminati of old. And guess what? They've turned it into a, oh, that's just a conspiracy theory. They no longer exist. They love that. They're just laughing at you. If you believe that they're no longer in existence, church loves it too. Yeah, they no longer exist. Yep. Ah, our star. Ah, the Freemason symbol. No, it was not. The pentagram was, not the inverted pentagram. That's the Illuminati. That's Isaiah. That's the Vulgate text. That's attaching it to Lucifer, 400 AD CE. Why won't you hearken, guys? Destruction's coming.